As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking the trail. I'm not saying this trail is historic, but there's a lot of dirt roads, which are old wagon roads around here, and you can take any of them up into the mountains. The mountains we're heading to? Oh, really? Huh. It says 1.5 miles. That don't look like 1.5 miles, huh? Yeah, it's a big building. It's 151 feet long. Ladies and gentlemen, we're hiking out to the old Pony Express station. This dates back to 1860. This is one of the oldest stone ruins in the state of Nevada. At least main hubs for the Pony Express was located here. And Pony Bob, he was able to do 380 miles in like practically a day on his horse. Life was harsh out here, but there was a certain amount of serenity and peacefulness that came with being able to come out and be a Pony Express rider. You would get to see all of rural Nevada, something that you can't really do. You can't really do it unless you're either an early explorer back then, or you ran one of these stations and horse rode all over northern Nevada. And I'll tell you what, them guys and them horses, they went down canyons and took the path less taken, and they were heroes back then. That's what brought people to the Wild West, because they had a mail service, they had a telecommunication service, or the telegraph. You had many booming towns just beginning to boom out here, and you also had at Cold Springs many springs in the area, but you also had a lot of water from the creek and the snow melt ahead. So these stations could all get their water safely, and a lot of times the people that worked at these stations never left the walls unless it was to hunt or gather supplies within a reasonable distance. Tammy says she could see it. That's probably it. I see something stone out there. It's about 1.5 mile hike. It gets very secluded rather quick, and you don't see the highway anymore, and it's very quiet as we just traverse through the sagebrush and out to Pony Express country. Peace into the snowy mountains. Wow, we have a rainbow hovering over the mountains. That's a pretty little sight right there. That's an award-winning picture, actually. Even just to get it on video alone. It's just a rainbow over the high desert. You can see, though, if you look, that peak is gorgeous. It has cliffs. There's a lot of different wildlife that roams this region, too. You got the boys hiking ahead. Very scenic. The wood line actually comes to the bottom of the high desert. But you have antelope, wolves, black bear, antelope, a lot of rodents. In the summer, definitely rattlesnakes and tarantulas and scorpions. But you could imagine how harsh life was out here at the Pony Express. You can imagine all they had to face, the Indian raids, the 105-degree summers. You always had to have a fresh water supply to cool down, to water the horses, to drink. If you didn't drink enough, you would die out here. And if that didn't kill you, the Indian raids would kill you. And almost every station I've been to so far has had a death or two due to raids, due to attacks, due to perhaps mistakes where dehydration would occur and that person would die. It's a very harsh life. And the ghost town of Wonder is right up in the Chalk Mountains, and eventually the Chalk Mountains intersect with the Alpine Clad mountain range. And the Alpine Clad in the spring is very green, but it's not as woodsy as this mountain range here. Throughout Nevada, you have strips of mountains, and those strips of mountain ranges have series of woods. So Nevada does have its fair share of woods and wild man and Bigfoot sightings. And I have no doubt that probably in this range there's some kind of wild man or some kind of paranormal secret it might hold. You have men living at the Pony Express, and they probably have no clue of what roams these mountains. Besides Indians back then, there's a lot of stories of giants and wild men in Nevada. especially in ranges like this that go for 30, 40 miles and are 20 miles thick. You could have caves, you could have something living underground. You could have Sasquatch or Bigfoot or wild men that roam this countryside. Who's gonna know? Look how many canyons and peaks and various ways to traverse this range there are. A multitude of ways. And that is so remote, straight ahead that, yeah, do I have any doubt that you could see a UFO or get a Bigfoot sighting up in these woods? No. I think it's very feasible that there's paranormal all around us. There might even be ghosts that haunt this Pony Express station. I mean, let's face it, there were people that died. When Pony Bob came to one station, he seen that it had been ransacked. The animals were gone. These men that worked at these stations were found dead. What do? You move on to warn the other Pony Express carriers. That's what you did. And you moved on. And you just sucked it up because there was nothing you could do. Life was harsh here. This is harsh. We continue to hike and hike and hike, and we're still not even remotely close there. I could see it in the distance. Look at that, guys. There's the Pony Express station right there. Yep, that's it. I see the walls. It's 153 or 151, somewhere in there, feet long by over 50 feet wide. It's a massive foundation. And we're going to keep trucking until we get there. Once Tammy and I arrive here, then we'll go ahead and I'll do a brief documentary. I will put in our galleries a picture of every set of foundation, or it's actually all one, but there's different rooms and areas, and I'll make sure I photograph everything. And this is just for educational use so that the schools around here can learn about one of the most major Pony Express stations in the Wild West. It really was. It was all Nevada had. When people came by to water their horses or stay for the night, they had guest rooms, they would come to these stations and they would rest their horses, they would fill up on supplies, and that is all you had in Nevada. You didn't have many towns or cities like you do today. You have Reno and Carson City and Virginia City and major hubs where you could just about get any goods, products, or services. But out here, these men had to hunt and gather their food, and people that came via wagon, they could actually have a stake, because in the corral they raised livestock and they counted on the chickens and the cattle for a subsistence. But you can see, I mean, we are in the middle of nowhere, and we're still, you can tell we're ascending to the station, but we still got about a half mile to go. And this 150-foot set of ruins looks practically the size of my pinky finger from here. Actually, my pinky finger is bigger, so it just tells you how remote the station was. And that's all the riders would do. They would jump on the horse, go at least 35 miles, get off, stay at the station at night, and a new rider would take over your shift. You could do 10 to 15, maybe 18 miles an hour if your horse was booking. However, some of the couriers travel further than that. And you can see, now that it's much brighter, you can start to see all the cliffs and the woods. Beautiful mountain range. You also have Grantsville and Berlin, which are beautiful ghost towns on the other side of these mountains. You have the Humboldt Range not too far from here, and there's the Humboldt River actually over those mountains. But it's extensive. There's so much to see. And the students, they really need to learn about this place. This place, not many people know about it. Unless physically I'm going to take you here on YouTube and through our website so you can learn and see pictures and interact with these updates. And I could do an enriched history. And I'm telling you, it's just going to be a wonderful addition to our site. But this is the hiking portion. The first portion, the first 2 or 3 buildings, which were the Overland Station and the Telegraph Station, those sets of ruins you could pull up by. These ones, you're physically hiking in the high desert, almost into the base of these mountains. Because the foothills start straight up ahead. You can see a few trees, and the trees just increases as you hit the wood line. and you have nothing but woods straight ahead. But this is beautiful country, and this is also very historic. So history is who we are. We're not just a paranormal group. We're a group that goes out and tries to preserve cultural sites, historical sites, and so forth. And granted, you know, we're not saints in what we do in our work, but it has to be done. Somebody has to photograph these ruins, because I don't know if these 10 years from now, someone might go in and mow the fence down and mow the ruins down. Someone might back into the fence and take the stones. I don't know. All I know is that when I come out to a place like this, my job is to explore, to educate you on the history, and then the paranormal comes. Will I get some EVPs? I don't know. Someone died here. It's possible. You've got to keep an open mind. But the most important goal of today's trip is preservation, education, and of course, to bring you pictures and video that a lot of people don't have. People pass by on the loneliest highway in America, and they never look twice at these ruins, and a lot of people don't know the Pony Express is all the way back here by the mountain range. You blink and it's gone. Not a lot of people get to see what you are getting to see, video-wise, pictures-wise on our site. We're not standing on anything, hurting anything, touching anything. Basically, we're just doing a documentary and documenting everything so people can kind of see what Pony Express territory in the heart of Nevada. Remember, the center of Nevada, what it looks like. We're like 30 miles from the ghost town of Austin. And Austin has about 40 ghost towns surrounding it, including a tower, multiple cemeteries. So if we go out there in a couple months, we will probably stay a couple days, because you can't see it all in one trip. And there's a lot of major ghost towns, including Austin itself is a semi-ghost town. You could spend a day just going around Austin to its mines and structures and miner cabins and investigating and taking photos and EVPs and readings of those places. Very remote. Austin's nearby, but even for a Pony Express courier, getting to Austin could possibly mean death. Because Austin is still 30, 40 miles away, and between here and Austin was a bunch of hostile Indians who did not like the white men settling here. Therefore, they could not stand these stations, and they would burn them down, pretty much massacre the owners of these places, these caretakers. So a lot of people died out here. And do their ghosts still haunt these sites, like this trail and these ruins? It's quite the possibility. There's no way to describe it. There's no towns out here. It's just in the middle of nowhere. I've been kind of filming clips, ladies and gentlemen, of the hike to these ruins. And as you can see, we're almost there. This is really the wilderness right up in here. As I film, you can see we're going to be approaching the Pony Express station very soon. It's very beautiful from afar. And Jared and I, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hike the trail, which starts to cut left. It doesn't appear there's any fencing here like the other places. However, like I say, it was pretty open to get in, and since the BLM takes care of this place, I got a friend who works for the BLM. He'll grant me permission into these places as long as I treat these ruins with caution and with respect, which we do. You just gotta be really cautious. I mean, you can't stand on the ruins. My son, he was standing behind him. It looked like he was standing on him. Yeah, this is it, guys. We finally made it to the Pony Express station. One of the biggest ones located in northern Nevada. Whoa, there's a rabbit, watch. Oh, he's gone.